Hi, thanks for joining me here today. I appreciate that this is fairly unusual to be in a situation where I'm speaking to you directly about another trainer who's providing some training with SDS. But I really do think the particular event that we're looking at here is very special. It's a new two-day seminar which is being run by Professor Dryden on single session integrated CBT, a new approach to working with clients, and one which I think has got enormously exciting possibilities really in terms of the way in which we might actually work with the clients that we're actually dealing with. As you and I both know, there is an increasing pressure on us in the services that we actually provide to work more briefly with clients. There is a long tradition of successful brief work, but there are some limits to this quite clearly. And increasingly, whether this is from within certain IAPT influence services or alternatively through the demands from insurance companies, we are moving to a situation where we're having to work increasingly more briefly with our clients. And single session integrated CBT provides a new and what I think is a very exciting way of actually approaching that. So if I can say a little bit about it, and also Professor Dryden. If you're not familiar with Professor Dryden, he is in a unique position, I think, in many ways, to be able to offer out a view on where CBT is going and therapy generally is going in the world in which we're operating today. The first professor of counselling in the UK, one of the first people within the UK to be trained in CBT. He's the author of 200 books on CBT and around about 700 peer-reviewed articles as well in the field. So this is a man who in my opinion is in a unique position to have a perspective on both where CBT has come from and also where it's going to in the future. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to join us in terms of seeing where that's going and being a part of it really. So there's four things really I wanted to say a little bit about in connection with this two-day seminar on single session integrated CBT that he's running in London in March and in April, but also which is going out as a webcast as well. So irrespective of where you are, no matter in the country or alternatively in the world, you should be able to both access this particular training and also interact with it as well. Our webcast has the facility to actually do that. So why should you bother? Why should you bother to do it? I think that there are four key ways in which Professor Dryden's single session integrated CBT can offer a unique perspective on our own practice and enhance it accordingly. The first thing to say is that I think his ideas on single session work act in a very powerful preventative manner. There's lots of instances where people don't actually engage in therapy until their problem has become of a certain size, and as a result of that, they then get to a point where they go and seek help. The difficulty, obviously, with this is that when people actually leave their problems, they get larger than they might be. And I think that providing a single session approach which enables people to access therapy at an earlier stage basically means that it's got a strong preventative element to it. So the first thing you might want to consider in terms of why you might want to be a part of this particular training is in terms of providing you with a way, a protocol, a method in which you can actually act in a more preventative way with the clients that you're actually working with, or alternatively attract clients to work with where prevention may actually play a key role. Secondly, I think the other thing to think about it is that, and which is sort of related to this first point really, is the fact that people are often reticent to actually engage in therapy because of the commitment that's actually required. It seems very strange to them. They're in a position where they don't really know either the therapist or alternatively whether the modality that the therapist is going to use is going to work with them. So single session integrated CBT provides a way of dealing with that particular hurdle. It basically provides people with a taster opportunity, an opportunity to have a look at whether this particular way of working is for them. And for that particular reason, it actually helps to engage people. So if any of you are working with folks where it's difficult getting them through the door, or where they're often they see therapy as having some sort of stigma attached to it, I think this is an excellent way in which you can actually engage folks in a way which you may not have done before. Thirdly, I think there's something here about time management and the effects of time management which actually can enhance our practice. Time management as a concept is not commonly talked about in therapy, and indeed is frequently seen as a bad thing. But actually, the whole concept of time management does have an impact on the way in which we behave, whatever context we're in. And within a therapeutic context, one of the things I actually think it does is it enables both the client and the therapist to be more focused in the work that they're actually doing. It enables both parties to come together more rapidly, to achieve more together than they maybe might have done if they were working over a longer time span, or thought that they were going to be working over a longer time span, and as a result of that get results much more quickly. One thing that's worth just adding to that, by the way, which is worth bearing in mind, and which Professor Dryden has pointed out before now, is irrespective of how long the type of therapy is that you actually offer, the single most common frequency and duration of therapy in practice tends to be the first session. And as I'm sure you're probably aware, you get lots of folks who don't come along for a second session or drop out. And the idea of becoming particularly focused in the first session, I think, may mean that for what for many people may be the only session they come to, enables them to actually get more out of it than they might do otherwise. Finally, I just wanted to address the myth that's actually around, and it's still a strong myth, I think, that all therapy has to be long-term. There is a long tradition which operates now over a number of decades, which has repeatedly demonstrated that shorter-term interventions can be as effective, and in some instances more effective, than longer-term interventions. That's not just within the CBT field, that's been demonstrated in a wide range of areas. So the idea that we might have to work with people with long-term problems by automatically working with them for a large number of sessions, I first of all don't think is true. The other thing to bear in mind is that I wouldn't want to deny that long-term work is of benefit and use to many of the people we would actually work with, because they have long-term developmental issues that are actually around. But what's important to remember is that even people with long-term developmental issues still have short-term problems. So I might have a major long-term issue, for example, with regards to attachment or emotional engagement, but actually I've still got a pressing issue about how the heck I'm going to deal with my boss when I have a meeting with him tomorrow, or alternatively, I've got a friend who I feel has betrayed me in some particular way and I need to address that. These are short-term problems which people still need to deal with, whilst they're dealing with a long-term developmental issue. And if you are working with clients who've got those sorts of problems, a brief way of working, such as single session integrated CBT, is, I think, a useful one to add on to your therapeutic toolkit, really. So there's a number of things that you might want to consider of value in terms of joining us for this particular event. As I say, it's running in 3 formats. It's first of all running in March, secondly in April, and with regards to the April date, it's also operating as a webcast. Dates and venues are available in via the URL that's below here. So if you'd like to click on and find more details and join up, please do. We'd love to see you. We think it's going to be a very special event. But please do bear in mind, as always with SDS seminar events, places are genuinely limited, and that incidentally also involves places on the webcast as well. But either way, hope that we'll see you there, and look forward to working with you in the near future. Thanks very much. Bye now.